and type 1. So in this lesson, we're going to have a look at test 4 for Cambridge Book 10, right? This is focused at the academic candidates, so it would be good if only they could go through the video. And now before I have a look at the answers, I would like you to do the paper on your own. So please download the paper, take 1 hour, time yourself, that is 60 minutes, and answer all 40 questions, right? It's important that you learn to time yourself, because if we don't time and we just start doing it, right, we might get used to that flow of time. So it's important always from day one when you practice, I've told you, time yourself for 1 hour. So please pause the video from here, take 1 hour and do the question paper. Alright, so I think you would have finished by now. Let's have a look at the answers. So this is test 4 and the answers. Reading passage 1, questions 1 to 13. Make sure the spellings are correct. Spread, you can write 10 or 10 times. Below, fuel. Seasons, homes or housing. True, false, true, true. Not given, false, false. And then reading passage 2, questions number 14 to 26. Transformation, or you can even say change. Young age. Optimism. Skills, or you could even say techniques. Negative emotions, or you can say negative feelings. E, right? And then C, G, A, E, C, G, H. And then 27 to 40, C, D, C, B, A, F, G, A, B, D. Not given, yes, no, yes. Right. So let's have a look at the questions now. Reading passage 1, the mega fires of California. Questions 1 to 6, complete the notes below. Characteristics of wildfires and wildfire conditions today compared to the past, right, is occurrence, temperature, speed, movement, more unpredictably, size of fires greater on average than 2 decades ago. So let's go to para 1. The writer says that wildfires themselves, experts say, they are generally hotter, faster, and spread more, right, erratically than in the past. So answer is that it spreads more, it spreads greater, okay, it spreads more unpredictably. Moving on into the second para, it says, the writer says that the mega fires, also called siege fires, are the increasingly frequent blazes that burn about 50,000 acres or more, 10 times the size of an average forest of 20 years ago. So here it says, the size of fires greater on average than 2 decades ago, so 10 times more. It says 10 times of the size. 2 decades ago, a decade is 10 years, so 2 decades is 20 years ago. 3 to 6, reasons wildfires cause more damage today compared to the past. First one, rainfall average. What? More brush to act as. Increase in yearly temperature, extend fire, more building of. Right. So rainfall average, act as, extended fire, building of vulnerable places. Let's read through. Go to para 3. The writer says, one explanation for the trend to more super hot fires is that the region, which usually has dry summers, had significantly below normal precipitation in many recent years. So below average, below the normal, so it should be below the normal precipitation. Okay. Question number 4 in para 3. Now what are they asking us in question number 4? More brush to act as what? So, the unintentional consequence has been to halt the natural eradication of underbrush, now the primary fuel for mega fires. In the past, the US Forest Service had a policy of cutting this brush, the plants that grow beneath the trees. However, the service did not realize that if this brush was eradicated naturally by fires, then this natural process would be more effective. Without realizing this, as a result of their policy, the brush grew more quickly and strongly, providing more fuel to start fires. So what happened? These lower levels, there was more brush, and when there was more brush, it was acting as more like a fuel to cause these fires. So therefore, fuel is the answer. Question number 5. In paragraph 4, the writer indicates 3 other factors contribute to the trend. They add, second is the fire seasons that on average are 78 days longer than they were 20 years ago, right? So this means it's extended longer. So extended fire seasons. And that is question number 5. Question number 6. Go to paragraph 4. The writer says the third, increased construction of homes in wooded areas. So if you go here, more building of something in vulnerable places. So it is more building of homes in vulnerable places. Right. Question number 7 to 13. Do the following statements agree with the information given in the reading passage? Yes, no, or not given. Okay. The amount of space in California has diminished over the last 10 years. Go to paragraph 6. In California, where population growth has averaged more than 600,000 a year for at least a decade, more residential housing is being built. What once was open space is now residential homes. So the amount of open space in California has reduced. Yes, it has reduced because they are building more and more buildings, and the answer is true. Question number 8. Many experts believe California has made little progress in readying itself to fight fires, right? So here experts believe California little progress to fight fires. Go to the 7th para. The writer argues that said many experts give California high marks for making progress. They have made little progress? Wrong. They have made progress. Answer is false. 9. Personnel in the past have been criticized for mishandling fire containment. Right? So let's say personnel criticized mishandling containment. Go to paragraph 7. The writer argues stun in the past by criticism of bungling. Bungling means mishandling that allowed fires to spread when they might have been contained. Personnel are meeting the particular channels of neighborhood. So yes, person is in the past have been criticized for mishandling fire containment. Yes, okay, definitely. So answer is true. Question number 10. California has replaced a range of firefighting tools, right? California replaced firefighting tools. Go to para 9. Let's read through. Before providing money to upgrade the fire engines must have traversed the Mammoth State and wind along serpentine canyon roads. The state has invested in better command and control facilities as well as strategies to run them. This means California has replaced a range of firefighting tools, so the answer is true. Okay. Right. Question number 11. More firefighters have been hired to improve firefighting capacity. More firefighters hired, improve capacity. So if you read through, it says, right, that there is an improvement of firefighting tools, but whether more firefighting have been hired in terms of capacity and firefighters, I don't know. It doesn't mention here. So the answer here is not given. Question number 12, right? Citizens and government groups disapprove of the efforts of different states and agencies working together, right? So citizens and government disapprove of the efforts of different states and agencies working together. Go to para 9 and go towards the end of para 9. The writer argues that there is a sense among both government and residents that the speed, dedication and coordination of firefighters from several states and jurisdictions are resulting in greater efficiency than in the past. So here citizens and the government groups disapprove of the efforts for different states. They don't disapprove, they like it. Okay. So therefore here the answer is false. Right? Next question. Question number 13. Randy Jacobs believes, right, that loss of life from fires will continue at the same levels despite changes made, right? So let's have a look at the keywords. Randy Jacobs, right? What does he believe? That the loss of life from fires will continue at the same levels. So let's have a look at where we could find this, okay? At the end of the passage, you will see that Randy Jacobs says, notwithstanding all the damage that will continue to be caused by wildfires, we will no longer suffer the loss of life endured in the past because of the fire prevention and firefighting measures that have been put in place. This means that thanks to the fire prevention and firefighting measures, we will no longer suffer the loss of life from fires like we did in the past. So here it says, Randy Jacobs believes that the loss from fires will continue. It will not continue at the same level, so it's false, right? That is false. Second passage, second nature. Questions number 14 to 18. Choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. Right? No more than 2 words. Psychologists have traditionally believed that a personality blank was impossible and that by something, a person's character tends to be fixed, right? So go to the first paragraph where the author says, psychologists have long held that a person's character cannot undergo a transformation, right, in any meaningful way, and that the key traits of personality determined at a very young age, right? So, psychologists have traditionally believed that a personality transformation was impossible that by a young age, right? So, answers are transformation and young age. Those should be your 2 words. 16. One of the easiest qualities to acquire is go to para A. Some qualities are less challenging to develop than others, optimism being one of them. So which one is easy to acquire? Optimism, being positive about everything. Okay. However, regardless of the quality, it is necessary to learn a wide variety of different something in order for a new quality to develop. For example, a person must understand and feel some blank in order to increase their happiness, right? So go to paragraph A and go towards the end. Let's read through. However, developing qualities requires mastering a range of skills. A wide variety of different, what should you have? Skills, which are diverse and sometimes surprising. For example, to bring more joy and passion into your life, you must open to experiencing negative emotions. So you should be able to understand and feel some negative emotions in order to increase the happiness. So here, skills, next one, negative emotions. Right, question number 19 to 22. Match each statement with the correct person. People must accept that they do not know much when first trying something new. Okay, so people must accept that they do not know much when first trying something new. So let's go to paragraph F and go towards the end of the paragraph. Todd Cashden says, as a newcomer, You will have to tolerate and laugh at your own ignorance. You must be willing to accept the negative feelings that come your way, right? So people must accept that they do not know much when they first try something new, right? So here the answer is E. So you must be able to accept and tolerate your own ignorance here, right? 20. It is important for people to actively notice when good things happen, right? Important to notice when good things happen. Go to paragraph D, right? She, who is she? Suzanne, recommends you train yourself to pay attention to good fortune by writing down 3 positive things that come about each day. So it is important for people to actively notice. She says, okay, when you do good things, write it down. So who is this person? Suzanne. And the answer should be C. Question number 21. Courage can be learned once its origins in a sense of responsibility are understood, right? So what are the key words? Courage can be learned once its origins in a sense of responsibility are understood. Go to paragraph H. According to Cynthia Puri, a psychologist at Clemson University, right, Pedilow's story proves the point that courage is not motivated by fearlessness but by moral obligation. Puri also believes that people can acquire courage. So courage can be learned, yes, okay, and that was told by Cynthia Puri, and the answer is going to be G. Okay. Question number 22. It is possible to overcome shyness when faced with the need to speak in public, right? Possible to overcome shyness when faced with the need to speak public. Go to para B. Inherently introverted, he, who is he? Christopher Peterson, realized early on that as an academic, his reticence would prove disastrous. Reticence means his shyness, right? It would be disastrous in the lecture hall. So he learned to be more outgoing and entertain his classes. Now my extroverted behavior is spontaneous, he says. So who says that? Christopher Peterson. The answer is A. Okay? Reticence is shyness. Okay? Questions number 23 to 26. Read passages, and this section has 8 passages, or rather 8 sections. A mention on how rational thinking enabled someone to achieve physical goals, right? So mention how rational thinking can achieve physical goals. Go to paragraph E. The physical stamina required for this sport is intense, but the psychological demands are even more overwhelming. Streeter learned to untangle her fears from her judgment of what her body and mind could do. By judging what her mind and body could do, Streeter could achieve goals about free diving. So here the answer is E. Next one, question number 24. An account of how someone overcame a sad experience. Overcame sad experience. Right? So which para talks about it? Para C. When he had an accident that put an end to his sports career, he launched a support group to help others in similar situations. So he took action despite his own pain, typically to response, right, to rather respond, which is a typically response of an optimist. So, an account of how someone overcame a sad experience, this is the one. He did it, and that is in paragraph C. Question number 25. A description of how someone decided to rethink their academic career path. Okay, so rethink academic career path. When I go and read para G, he, who is Mauro, was miserable as his research wasn't compatible with his curiosity about healing. He finally took a break during 8 months in Santa Fe, and he learned about alternative healing techniques that it's not taught at Harvard. When he got back, he switched labs to study how cerebrospinal fluid nourishes the developing nerve system. So this is a description of how someone decided to rethink their academic career path. So I would say this is in para G, and answer is therefore G. 26. An example of how someone risked his career out of a sense of duty, right? So risked his career in terms of duty. Go to para H. What does it say there? The new manager was intimidating staff, right? So Peladilos carefully recorded each instance of bullying and eventually took the evidence to a senior director, knowing his own job security would be threatened. Pedilos' story proves the point that courage is not motivated by fearlessness but by moral obligation. So he risked his own career, right? But he went and always gave in that proper news. Or he would rather risk his career to prove a point. So here the answer would be H, because it is stated in para H. 27 to 40 is from para 3. When evolution runs backwards. Questions 21 to 31. Choose the correct letter A, B, C or D. When discussing the theory developed by Louis Dollo, the writer says that theory Louis Dollo. So if we have a look at paragraph 3, the writer says a Belgian paleontologist, a person who studies about fossils, okay, called Louis Dollo, was studying fossil records and coming to the opposite conclusion. In 1890, he proposed, it was something very different, okay. He proposed that evolution was irreversible. You can't take it back. That an organism is unable to return even partially to a previous stage already realized in the ranks of its ancestors. So early 20th century, biologists came to a similar conclusion, though they qualified in terms of probability, stating that there is no reason why evolution cannot run backwards. backwards. And so the idea of irreversibility in evolution stuck and came to be known as Dollo's law, right? So it was modified by biologists in the early 20th century. So coming back here, right, when discussing the theory developed by Louis Dollo, the writer says that, right, it was irreversible in evolution stuck and it came to be known as Dollo's law. So the most appropriate answer that you could take would be C. 28. The humpback whale caught off Vancouver Island is mentioned because. Why is it mentioned? Let's read paragraph 4. If Dollo's law is right, atavisms should occur only very rarely, if at all. Yet, almost since the idea took root, exceptions have been cropping up. In 1990, for example, a humpback whale with a pair of leg-like appendages over a meter long, complete with a set of limb bones, was caught off Vancouver Island in Canada. Its strange features made Roy Chapman and Andrew argue that it must be a throwback to a land-living ancestor, which is opposite to Dollo's law. So the humpback whale is mentioned because of the reason given for its unusual features. So here the answer is D. 29. What is said about silent genes? Go to para 5. While some evolutionary changes involve the loss of genes are therefore irreversible, others may be the result of genes being switched off. If these silent genes are somehow switched back on, they argued, long-lost traits could reappear. So this means that silent genes could lead to the re-emergence of certain characteristics. So characteristics also means traits. Reappear, re-emerge are the same. So I would take the answer as C. 30. The writer mentions mole salamander because, right, mole salamander. Go to para 6. Raff's team went on to calculate the likelihood of silent genes happening. The team calculated that there is a good chance of silent genes surviving up to 6 million years, and that some might survive as long as 10 million years. Then in para 7, the mole salamander is mentioned. At the end of this paragraph, the writer concludes that and says, the salamander example fits with Raff's 10 million year time frame. So this means that the mole salamander is mentioned to suggest that Raff's theory is correct. So the answer here is B. Correct means it fits with that. 31. Which of the following does Wagner claim? So Wagner claim, right? In paragraph 8, according to his mean Wagner's analysis, the Barchia family tree, the toad species re-evolved toes from toeless ancestors. And what is more, digit loss and gain has occurred on more than one occasion over tens of millions of years. So this means Wagner claims that members of Bachia lizard family have lost and regained certain features several times. It's several times means more than one occasion. So the answer here is going to be A. 32 to 36. Complete each sentence with the correct ending. For a long time, biologists rejected. We must complete the ending. So what are the key words? Long time, biologists rejected. In the first paragraph, it states, for the better part of a century, most biologists have been reluctant to use those words, mindful of a principle of evolution that says evolution cannot run backwards. In other words, for a long time, most biologists actually rejected the possibility of evolution being reversible. So here the answer is F. Reversible means run backwards. 33. Opposing views on evolutionary throwbacks are presented by who? So, opposing evolutionary throwbacks. Go to paragraph 3. The writer argues while Lombroso was measuring criminals, the Belgian paleontologist called Louis Dollo was studying fossil records and coming to the opposite conclusion. So this conclusion was that there is no reason why evolution cannot run backwards. This means that opposing views on evolutionary throwbacks are represented by Dollo's findings and the convictions held by Lombroso, right? So here, views are obviously convictions. Answer would be G. 34. Examples of evolutionary throwbacks have held to, right? So here again, examples, evolutionary throwbacks have held to what? Go to paragraph 5. Since then, so many other examples have been discovered that it no longer makes sense to say that evolution is as good as irreversible, and that this poses a puzzle. How can characteristics that disappeared millions of years ago suddenly reappear? So this means that examples of evolutionary throwbacks have led to the question of how certain long-lost traits could reappear. So here the answer would be A. 35. The shark and killer whale are mentioned to exemplify what? Okay. So the shark and killer whale are used to exemplify what? Go to paragraph 9. One possibility is that these traits are lost and then simply reappear in much the same way that similar structures can independently arise in unrelated species, such as the dorsal fins of sharks and killer whales. So this means the shark and the killer whale are mentioned to exemplify the occurrence of a particular feature in different species? So the answer here would be B. 36. One explanation for the findings of Wagner's research is. Wagner's research. Go to paragraph 9. There, the writer argues that another more intriguing possibility is that the genetic information needed to make toes somehow survived for tens or perhaps hundreds of millions of years in the lizards and was reactivated. So this means that one explanation for the findings of Wagner's research is continued existence of certain genetic information. So therefore, the answer is D. So moving on to the next question, questions number 37 to 40. Do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer in the reading passage? Right? Wagner was the first person to do research on South American lizards. So Wagner, first person, research South American lizards. Those are your keywords. So if you come and read the passages, right, you will see that it does specify Wagner's research on the evolutionary history of a group of South American lizards. But what it does not mention is whether he was the first person to do the research. So because it does not specify, we would have to give the answer as not given, because we don't know exactly if he was the first person to do the research on these specific lizards, right? 38. Wagner believes that Bachia lizards with toes had toeless ancestors. So let's underline the key words. Bachia lizards with toes had toeless ancestors. So let's have a look at it. Go to paragraph 8. According to his means Wagner's, analysis of Bachia family tree, the toad species evolved toes from toeless ancestors. So yes, he believed that the Bachia lizard with toes had toeless ancestors, very clearly told here. So the answer is yes. 39. The temporary occurrence of long lost traits in embroice is rare. Okay. So let's have a look at it. The temporary occurrence of long lost traits in embroice is rare. Go to the last para. Early embroice of many species develop ancestral features. This means that the temporary occurrence of long lost traits in embroice is not rare. It's there, right? So therefore, the statement is false. Last question. Evolutionary throwbacks might be caused by developmental problems in the womb. So let's go and see. Evolutionary throwbacks might be caused by development problems in the womb. Let's go to the last paragraph. The writer says, but if silent genes degrade within 6 to 10 million years, how can long lost traits be reactivated over longer time scale? So the answer may lie in the womb. So evolutionary throwbacks might be caused by developmental problems in the womb. Yes, very clearly it tells us yes. So with that, we have come to the end of the discussion, right? So what we were looking at was all 40 questions in your reading test, especially Cambridge Book 10 Test 4. Now, why is it important for you to review your answers? It is because just marking it right or wrong will not help you to kind of differentiate and find out, critically think as to why your answer is wrong. So my objective here is to support you to find the answer where it is, right? Rather than just saying, okay, C, D, E, okay. Without just doing that, to tick and see how many have you got correct and why have you got these answers wrong. Where can I find the proper answer for this, right? So for that, I don't put up the reading passage here. The reason is I want you to get involved in the lesson while I'm doing it. It should be student-centered, and that's what I want you to be looking at, getting involved in the lesson when I'm doing it, right? So with that, we come to the end of the discussion for Cambridge Book 10 Test 4, especially for academic candidates.